Hey, what's going on, everybody? Richard here again for part 2 of our parts release series. This one was asked about a lot, and frankly, I think this is one of the coolest things that we have made. When you're teching in an older Intimidator, it can be kind of overwhelming. There's 27 body parts and pieces to it, not even including internals. It can become very, very overwhelming. And sometimes having a tech tool that just makes life easier, it's well worth it. So what this does, this is our Intimidator pressure tester. Again, it's kind of a universal piece because it'll work for any HPR. But what it allows you to do is simultaneously set your HPR and your LPR. So that way you can just set them aside and throw them in the marker. So when you're going through and teching an older Intimidator, I generally compartmentalize whatever it is that I'm doing. So I'll rebuild the LPR, set it aside. Rebuild your HPR, set it aside. Take out your ramp sleeve and so on. I just compartmentalize each piece and then you reassemble. Now that's of course easier said than done, especially if you're someone that's not so tech savvy. But these are your main two air flows. I mean, this is to me, we use it all the time. Anytime that we do an older one, you can set your pressures, check recharge rate. And our tank apparently ran out of gas. Wait, there it is. Sorry. So you can check your refresh rates. You can see if there's creeping. We don't have anything special in these. They're just going to be stock, Schrader valves, just stock guts. So there's nothing special, but just, you can check your stuff. You can add different gauges if you want. But what makes this thing truly special is we've sold this to some guys that I think saw what we saw, which is that there are ports on both sides. So you can start adapting to other things and making your own very unique pressure testing tools. That is something that you wouldn't otherwise really be able to do with anything else. We got this idea, or I should say I got it from AKA. AKA had a HPR tester that was just one-sided and had a clicker. And I was just like, this would be so cool to do something where you could do also LPRs. And so my engineer and I got together and like, yeah, that actually would be really effing cool if we could have something where you could do HPR, you could do LPR, click it, test some pressures, but also have it either right or left, or frankly, so you could adapt to other stuff. And again, you can kind of do whatever you want there. But one of the things that we are going to have that comes out with this is adapters. So we're not really sure yet what adapters. We'd really love to hear your opinions on adapters that will go for the LPR, adapters that might be able to go for the HPR, whether you do the Proto, or really anything that could adapt LPRs to make life a little bit easier and kind of have an adapter kit, let's just say, that releases with this to where you just have this one tool and then you can plug in some LPR or HPR adapters for whichever generation of model of, even other brands, obviously, that you could test their LPRs and HPRs. So again, it seems like a simple thing, but I can tell you it makes life way easier. The one that we here use in the shop, we've got these big old Ashcroft gauges on there to really fine tune, the LPR and HPR. It comes stock with these mini gauges, but you can put whatever gauges you want on there. We've got another video where we're talking about the differences between standard gauges versus oil-filled. I think there's a big misconception that, oil-filled's always better, which is not exactly the case, especially when you're dealing with pressures under 800 PSI. It's just, I think there's some folks out there that think that they always need an oil-filled gauge versus, just a standard larger, either Ashcroft or some other main brand gauge. So anyway, this is kind of how it's used. Again, this has been one of the coolest thing and very pleasing to actually use. It's kind of an addiction to just sit here and and play with it, but it is a really fun tool. So yeah, leave us some comments below if you guys want us to, what adapters you might want to see. That's actually one thing. We're trying to get a list of adapters that would go for something like this that we can put for both the HPR and LPR. For other brands, etc. We think that'd be really a cool thing to release, just one big kit that has all these array of adapters that you could just mod this sucker out and do some really cool pressure testing. So yeah, let us know, and we'll have a next couple videos coming down here shortly. Appreciate it.